There's the castle in the background again. Surrounded by the big diamond from... what is it? The Green Garden in Bomberman 64. Green Garden 3, World 3. It's totally what it is. Alright. I don't think there's anything in here. I don't think there's anything in here of importance. But might as well check anyway. I think this was just like an orange rupee, and I couldn't get it because I didn't have enough room in my wallet. Good. Oh boy. Oh yeah, another interesting thing that has happened to me lately is I got a treadmill. And actually, instead of just the treadmill, I got a whole lot of stuff in my room that I had been hoping to get in here for a long time. Because, for the longest time, my room has looked very much like it had not been moved into yet. Because my TV wasn't sitting on a table, or a stand, I guess, is a better word for it. I didn't have anything to sit in front of the TV with besides the floor. I always had a mattress, but now I guess I have a better place for the mattress. Or maybe I don't know, but... I'm sleeping back in my room again. I used to sleep for a while outside of my room in the guest room, but since it's a guest room, I probably shouldn't stay in there. But, yeah, one thing that I wanted for my room for a long time was a treadmill, so that I could, get some exercise without having to be social. Because, you know, walking around in public, that's just too much to ask. I am an asocial little nerd who dreams of electric sheep. No. I was trying to think of what the actual title of that book was called. Like Cyber Dream Sheep, I don't know. Sheepman Stage, Mega Man 10. I haven't actually used the treadmill yet, because I still have my toe to worry about, and I have a bandage on bandage. Not a bandage, not a band-aid, but a bandage on it right now. It's like the sequel to Brain Age, except it's a game about learning how to be in a band. The amazing thing about the treadmill is that I think it's usually like an $800 to $1,000 treadmill, roughly. It's a Nordic track. And the thing is, we got it for free. Because someone was just giving it away, and it's not even like in poor condition, having to have a lot of stuff replaced or anything. Like, it's just straight up a basically new treadmill that we had to pay nothing for. All we had to do was go over and get it. It's not actually new, but it is like new. There was apparently some part of it that was broken, but the guy who sold it, or didn't sell it, just gave it away, already fixed it beforehand. So, yeah, I just have a free, expensive treadmill in my room now that I hope to make use of soon. Man. Yeah, a lot of stuff, most of the stuff has happened in the last, like, 2 weeks. To be honest. So, I've had a pretty eventful last couple of weeks. And then I had family visiting, my sister came by. We hung out. She had never been to a Culver's, which was blasphemous, except I'd never been to a Culver's or even heard of Culver's before moving, so yeah, it is definitely the place with my favorite burgers that I've ever had. And I had to share the love. And this might not seem notable to anyone else, but something noteworthy to me that I did recently was actually eat a burger with everything on it. Because I'm a very picky eater, and I like very simple food most of the time. Usually if I get a burger, I order it specifically with just the bun, the patties, ketchup maybe, sometimes cheese, occasionally bacon. And sometimes I'm not even sure about the bacon because it might make the food crispier or crunchier without actually adding anything to the taste, and it's just kind of weird to me. I like it whenever it's not just adding strange texture. But for the longest time, I kind of shied away from having the lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, onions, mayonnaise, whatever else. Did I say mayonnaise twice? I don't know. But for the longest time, I just didn't want to get any of that stuff because I figured I wouldn't like it. I figured it would overcomplicate the burger. But then I got a double burger at Culver's, and it already came with all that stuff, and I didn't think to get it off, so I just thought, you know what? I probably should try a burger with everything on it at some point, so I will do that with this one. And I took a bite, and I liked the bite. It was a good bite. And then I finished the burger. For me, it was like having something at Subway, because Subway is the only other place that I've ever had more than one ingredient on a food. So, except I think I liked it better than Subway. It was just like all the flavors at once, and there wasn't much distinction between them. It didn't feel like well, since I don't normally get stuff like this on food, I didn't know what was mayonnaise or what was pickles or what was anything. I just tasted it all as one big flavor, and I think it all worked. Just supercharged liquid freshness all in your mouth at once. So I would get that again. It was good. And I guess that's what most people get all the time whenever they get burgers. Cyborgers. Electric sheep. Electric boogaloo. Has anything else happened lately? Did Ukulele come out in the last 3 months? Did I talk about that before? I can't remember. I mean, I feel like I probably didn't talk about Ukulele. Not that it would be particularly relevant for Twilight Princess, but it's not like anything that I talk about is relevant to Twilight Princess anyways. This is just a playthrough of some game in the background. Also, this is riveting. Best gameplay. I don't really have anything to say about Ukulele that I probably shouldn't save for a different playthrough, but Ukulele is good. I like it. A lot of people don't seem to like it for some reason. Not the majority of people, but a lot of people still. And I find that sad. Because I guess, well, thinking back to how I'm not really a fan of Shovel Knight, I think I would have just had to grow up with the NES to really appreciate Shovel Knight. Because I'm not really a fan of the kinds of games where you have to... What am I saying here? Well, one thing I don't like about Mega Man so much is how sometimes you'll go through a stage and then you'll see, like, an extra life up on a ledge, and too late you see how you could have gotten it, but then you can't get it anymore because something has permanently left the stage and you have to wait until you start the stage over to get it again, if you even want to bother to get it, and that kind of thing annoys me. And Shovel Knight has that too. But, you know, stuff like that. I can't think of any more specifics, but I probably would have had to grow up with those kinds of games to really appreciate that more. But what I grew up with was, like, the Super Nintendo to some extent, but mostly the N64. And so the N64 and the GameCube were my favorite systems, because the N64 is my favorite system, and the GameCube is, like, the most similar one. So I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Just, I think it's kind of sad that there's certain eras that seem to have not aged as well as others to people. You know, a lot of people seem to think that the NES era has aged really well, and that it still holds up as being, you know, great design, great platforming. It's just overall a solid experience. Yeah, it's super hard, but who cares if it's super hard? That just adds more gameplay. And then, for some reason, collectathons have not been getting the same rap. Like, oh, Yooka-Laylee, it's a failure as a game on every level because it has some glitches sometimes, and, like, there are a few missions that are kinda not well polished, and, you know, that's about it. I think the overall experience is quite fun. It's not like every single moment of the game is splashing things in your face, but then again, neither is Breath of the Wild, so I don't see why that game gets so much more, like, positive feedback than something like Yooka-Laylee does. Yeah. I'm just, That's something that I kind of fear, is that maybe I appreciate games that don't really have an audience anymore. Or at least not nearly as much of an audience, and maybe that will reflect in what I make. Like, what if I make things that people won't really want to play because I love them but others won't? That's a worry that I have. Because that is a definite worry for a number of people who are really passionate about what they make, and the problem is that they have a really unpopular perspective. You know, I mean, the example that comes to mind is not a good example, but Derek Savage and Cool Cat. Cool Cat saves the kids. Because obviously Derek Savage really, really cares about Cool Cat a lot. And, you know, it's unfortunate that Cool Cat kind of sucks. Kind of sucks in a good way, but it's still, you know, it's like, it's kind of a shame that there's, you know, following your dreams doesn't necessarily mean that everyone is going to agree with those dreams. If that makes any sense. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about? Because I think that's most of everything. I could talk about the game at some point, maybe. That would be cool. Most of what I've been doing lately is working on my own game, because I feel like I've finally gotten a start for it. My game that has no name, which actually does have a name, but I'm not revealing it yet, but will be known as Patina's Paintbrush or Project Comet for now. That one. Yeah, I feel like I'm finally sort of understanding how to start it. Because that's been the problem for a long time, is just deciding how to start the game. Because one thing about being a perfectionist that sucks is feeling like every way that you could start working on something is not good enough, and that there's always an alternative that's better. But at some point you just gotta say, you know what, this will be fine. This will work. And I think what I've realized is I'm very emotionally motivated as a person. I'm not really interested in doing anything unless I have an emotional reason to do it. And that emotion could be anything like just being strongly upset about people dissing on Yooka-Laylee and then wanting to make a video sharing positivity towards it. Or, like, being really adamant about how great Undertale is, even if I don't think all of it is great. It's still generally, I think, a really smart game, and then wanting to make a video about that. Tissue again. And then, you know, in terms of making the games that I have, Undercooked was an example of me just making a game out of love for Undertale, and also seeing that other Undertale fan games didn't really have, they were all for people who had already played the game, and I wanted to make a game for people who hadn't played it yet. Revive was kind of made from me first wanting to make a puzzle game, and secondly just wanting to kind of make a story about how I view some of my fans. Because that's the underlying tone of Revive, and also Undercook, come to think of it. Then One Night at Flumpty's was out of my appreciation for the first FNAF game. FNAF is such a terrible... a terrible but great acronym pronunciation. I don't know, I could go through all of my games and talk about, like, my strong reason for wanting to make them. And it's usually a kind of spur-of-the-moment thing. Like, you know what, I really like this idea. I'm gonna follow it. So that's what I need to start doing with my own game now, is just... That's kind of the train of thought that I'm following is, well, I need to stop thinking about how all of this would logically make sense. Like, what trends do I have to follow to make this work, as opposed to how do I feel about making a game like this. I have been wanting to make a game for a long time that just starts with the main character just waking up, getting out of bed, because that's, I think, a nice that's a nice innocent way to start a game. It makes everything, you know, seem really normal, and then it brings all the more contrast whenever it eventually gets really crazy and adventurous. So that's how I'm starting my game now, is little Patina is waking up and getting out of bed. That's what I'm animating right now, is just... Someone asked me if the game is almost done, and considering I want to make a game that lasts a good many hours, hopefully, and I'm working on the first 30 seconds, yeah, I would say I'm probably not almost done, but I expect the process to get faster as time goes on. Also, this picture. Just want to point out this picture here. I'm trying to... Is there another one? Okay, there's not another one. But that picture over there is very unusual to me, because it's like this big, flowery courtyard of some kind, and I'm pretty sure it's not a model from anywhere in the game, but it makes me curious what it could be. Like, maybe that was a model for the front of Hyrule Castle, like, in some earlier version of the game or something. Like Fungus Forest from Banjo's house with that picture. I don't know, something like that. Or it's just a pretty picture that they decided to make and throw in there. I couldn't really say. But it's definitely mysterious to me, and also pretty. Maybe I'm actually going to start talking about the game now. This.
Hey.
Greetings and salutations, good sir. I gotta say, this part of the game legitimately freaked me out at first. Good name. With that scene where everything is in total darkness, and then that guy just pops up, yeah, that scared me whenever I first got to this point, because I was not expecting it at all. And it's not like the game was gonna do anything crazy. Like, oh hey, here's a boss fight, try to escape this huge demon in a maze before time runs out. It wasn't gonna be anything like that, of course, but still, I found it appropriately freaky. Oh, that was good. Man, that's something that I should probably cut out, except I'm lazy, so I won't. One joke that I thought about making before I started this recording, that I didn't make, was, man, this playthrough is going by almost as slowly as Proton John's Let's Play of Superman 64, except that one's actually polished. So I have no excuse. Ignorance is not an excuse. Maybe I'm just thinking about Cool Cat because I've seen some I Hate Everything videos. And people seem to hate I Hate Everything because he seems to hate everything, except he actually doesn't. It's just a branding for his channel, and I think it is suitable. You know, because complaining is kind of fun. At least if you feel like you have a base for your complaining, it's kind of fun. Hearts. And then they run away screaming. Yeah, this is the scariest part of the game right here. Alright, some more S.T.A.R tent. S.T.A.R tent. S.T.A.R tent. Oh, this looks safe. Yeah, this is quite the stretch from the last S.T.A.R minigame. I'm pretty sure nobody would be able to participate in this game except for Link, because he has the double claw shot, which is apparently some rare artifact since there are only 2 that exist. And, you know, it's already surprising that there are 2 that exist, because it should be just 1. And it's also interesting that one of them is in a lake bed temple and the other one is in the sky. Like, how you can't get much more opposite than that in terms of where you find 2 of the same thing. I think this one's easier than the first one, because the lines of dots are a lot more obvious, I guess. Congratulations! Many thanks for playing. Don't come again. Okay. I won't. Or maybe I will. I'm not sure if I go back in or not. I can't remember. Okay, I guess I didn't. Past self, you missed a good joke, except it wasn't going to be that good. It would have just wasted time. I'm just going with the flow here, because I don't know what I was doing. Agitha's castle? Oh, well, I don't even know how many bugs that I had whenever I did this. Feels like I'm going through a photo album or something. Ooh, on that note, there's something else I could talk about, which is, recently, because I've been trying to find inspiration for myself. Just, to figure out what my roots are. Oh man, did I get all the bugs? I wasn't even paying attention. Wow, good job. Good job, me. And for every pair of bugs, I'm gonna slow down so you can read what one of the messages is for them. Like, every pair of bugs has the same message, so... Or each pair of bugs, I should say. Yeah, but on the subject of photo albums, most people, if they're looking for nostalgia, they look in a photo album. But I'm not really a photo type person. If I take photos of anything, it's usually like clouds. But, for what I do for nostalgia's sake is go through lots and lots of Flash movies that I watched over many years on Newgrounds, and sometimes other places, and just watch those or play those games. So what I've been doing lately is downloading a whole bunch of Flash movies and games to my computer that have been inspiring or influential to me in some way, and I'm at like 170 now. And it's remarkable what you kind of forget about over time, because there's one animation that I forgot about that, after a lot of searching, I was just kind of reminded of it again, and that's something called Lemmings Deus Ex Machina, which is a really old Flash movie, in the style of a couple of other Flash movies. There's, let's see, something called The Pan, which is like stick figures getting brutally killed by an auto-scrolling level like Mario. And then there's also Madness Combat by Crinkles, which is a lot more well-known, I think. And it's kind of like both of those things mashed up with the characters from the Lemmings games. And, I think it's no longer on Newgrounds mainly because it used copyrighted music. I specifically remember, for some reason, that the music was by Rammstein, who I don't know much about, but that's just a memory that I have of it. And I found that movie again, I think on some site called, like, SWF-chan, which I guess is just Shockwave Flash Channel. It's an archive for a whole bunch of Flash movies and things that may or may not exist anymore. And it was weird looking back at that, because it's not exactly a spectacular movie. the animation could be better. It's kind of like the sound quality is not the best, which can be said for a lot of old Flash movies. But it's something that definitely had a direct impact on me, because not only did I make my own stupid little Flash movie about lemmings afterwards, but there's like this special features type thing in the movie where it shows all the different symbols and like close-ups of all the different weapons and things that were used in the movie, and I took that and applied it to my own creations. Like the Riddle School games have the little special features or statistics in them, even as far back as the first game. And I'm pretty sure that was because of the Lemmings Deus Ex Machina thing. So stuff like that. There's a lot that I could go into. I might end up making videos about those. I'm not really sure. Alright, Agitha. Declaration of Honorable Citizenship, and we get a giant wallet! She keeps giving us all this money, and then she gives us the wallet after we have already determined we can't hold all the money. Good job. Really smart marketing? That's not really marketing, but I don't know. It's a bit silly. So now we can bug off. No.